More interesting stuff from Numbers. I'm going to read from chapter 11, verses 16 through 17 and 24 through 30. So the Lord said to Moses, "Gather for me 70 of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them. Bring them to the tent of meeting and have them take their place there with you. I will come down and talk with you there, and I will take some of the spirit that is on you and put it on them. And they shall bear the burden of the people along with you, so that you will not bear it all by yourself." So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and he gathered 70 elders of the people and placed them all around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. And when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, but they did not do so again. 2 men remained in the camp, one named Eldad and the other named Medad, and the spirit rested on them. They were among those registered, but they had not come out to the tent, and so they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, "Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp." And Joshua son of Nun, the assistant of Moses, one of his chosen men, said, "My lord Moses, stop them." But Moses said to him, "Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit on them." And Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. And did you catch that in verse 28? This is a pretty abrupt introduction to Joshua, who's a pretty important character. It seems like his entrance into the picture here, is almost an afterthought. He's been an assistant to Moses all of this time, and yet we haven't heard him speak a single word until this chapter in Numbers. Then we have Numbers 13, verse 16. This is talking about sending out spies to go observe the neighboring lands that they were going to capture. These were the names of the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses changed the name of Hoshea son of Nun to Joshua. But you've already referred to him as Joshua in chapter 11. Now, same chapter, verses 25 through 33. At the end of 40 days, they returned from spying out the land. And they came to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the Israelites in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, "We came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Yet the people who live in the land are strong, and the towns are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in the land of the Negeb. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the sea and along the Jordan." How do they know who Anak is? How do they know who the Amalekites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites are? How do they know the names of the people? If they're going into places they've never been before, they've never heard of before, and they do not have, the kinds of modern intelligence that we have now. How did they spontaneously figure these out? Interesting note here is in chapter 14, verses 19 through 25. This is talking about the Israelites complained to the Lord, and this was the result. Moses is pleading to the Lord in verse 19. "Forgive the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have pardoned this people from Egypt even until now." Then the Lord said, "I do forgive just as you have asked. Nevertheless, as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of the people who have seen my glory and the signs that I did in Egypt in the wilderness, and yet have tested me these 10 times and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to their ancestors. None of those who despise me shall see it. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me wholeheartedly, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now, since the Amalekites and the Canaanites live in the valleys, turn tomorrow and set out for the wilderness by the way to the Red Sea. The Lord himself doesn't refer to the Amalekites and the Canaanites directly until after they're referred to in chapter 13. Why is that? I also want to go back to chapter 13 and read verses 30 through 33. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it." Then the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against this people, for they are stronger than we are." So they brought to the Israelites an unfavorable report of the land that they had spied out, saying, "The land that we have gone through as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great size. There we saw the Nephilim, the Anakites come from the Nephilim, and to ourselves we seemed like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." Wait a second. The Nephilim. Where have I heard of that before? Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 8. Talk about the Nephilim. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all that they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went into the daughters of humans who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. The Lord saw that the wickedness of humankind was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made humankind on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out from the earth the human beings I have created, people together with animals and creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the sight of the Lord. I'm going to jump ahead to Genesis 7, verses 17 through 24. The flood continued for 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters swelled and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the face of the waters. The waters swelled so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered. The waters swelled above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep, and all flesh that moved on the earth, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, all swarming creatures that swarm on the earth, and all human beings. Everything on dry land in whose nostrils was the breath of life died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground, human beings and animals and creeping things and birds of the air. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those that were with him in the ark. And the waters swelled on the earth for 150 days. All human beings were destroyed except those who were on the ark. If that is the case, where did the Nephilim reported in Numbers 13 come from? Were they descended from Noah? I don't think so. Did they spontaneously poof back into the land of the Amalekites? What? I'd be interested to hear an explanation about this one.